What is Tarkov? Where is Tarkov? Is that Tarkov? How did they fit the whole thing in there? And why does it say electronic shop? Why is it called Escape from Tarkov when you cannot actually escape? All that and more on this first episode of What is this game? Are you tired of weak games that treat you like a child? And are you tired of shitty FPS games that are nice, easy and pleasant to play? Have tutorials,
proper job, well done.
or even difficulty modes, multiplayer with skill-based matchmaking, separate lobbies for solos, duos and teams, or any type of fairness and balance at all? And are you ready to get punished by a real alpha game, where chats are giga chats and rats are ultra rats? And if you are, then this is the game for you. Welcome to the game that doesn't welcome anyone, where hand-holding is not acceptable. Escape from Tarkov is so notorious for not giving any information to players how to deal with the shit it puts them through, that 99% of the content made for it are guides and tutorials. Achieving anything without watching some of these or thoroughly studying the incredibly extensive wiki it has is extremely impossible. None of that is a joke. This game is not a joke. In fact, it's a very serious game. It's so serious that to make any progress in it is the equivalent of a master's degree in military science, modern warfare and Navy SEAL training all at the same time. It's a very hard game indeed. So much that even a seasoned veteran of the shooter genre, a real high-level professional from any other FPS game, will suffer just as a regular person trying to learn the game for the first time. And that's the beauty of Escape from Tarkov. It just doesn't discriminate. The detail put into it is so extensive. I have increased my knowledge and understanding of firearms and ballistics from totally non-existent to expert level just from playing it. It's amazing how customizable any piece of gear is, especially the guns. And Tarkov has a lot of guns. Every weapon has the option to be modded, and while some don't have much you can do with them, others you can turn from hard to control trash into absolute lasers. The gunplay is simply amazing, and to experience it is an absolute pleasure. But to be able to get your hands on any of that advanced equipment, you need to complete tasks to unlock traders, which are JPEGs that communicate with you through a PowerPoint presentation. But to acquire any of that sweet gear, you also need to acquire currency. A lot of currency, of which you have 4 options: Russian rubles, USD, Euro and physical Bitcoin. And that for a newly minted Timmy is a tough thing to accomplish. So the beginning of your endeavors in Tarkov is a series of punishing experiences that can be described as the equivalent of being punched in the dick, which seems to be exactly what the developers were going for, as it became clear from a leaked dev meeting. Escape from Tarkov is a hardcore and realistic online first-person action RPG simulator with MMO features and a story-driven walkthrough. The game is still in beta, which means everything I will talk about is subject to change, which I will use as an excuse to make more videos on the matter when time comes. The developer is Battlestate Games, which is a company of Spetsnaz operatives undercover as indie game developers. Their leader is Nikita Buyanov, who is the COO and the man behind the sick soundtrack.
Тёма! Oh no, it's my Instagram. Oh shit. Ты чё со мной базаришь, так ты? Ты чё, сука? To promote my Instagram and the EFT Instagram. Oh my god. Подогрей, блядь, хлебушка, блядь, подогреть, сука!
He is not your typical game developer. Story. It's not much, but there is some. The events take place in the Russia 2028 universe, where the Norvinsk region, special economic zone, is an area adjacent to Russia, acting as a gateway with Europe. They decide to provide what everyone in the West really wants: less taxes. So some of the biggest tax haters, like corporations, take advantage and move operations to the city of Tarkov, which is one of the largest cities in the region. Everything goes great for a while, and everyone is making mad dough. But at some point, a transnational holding company named Terra Group starts acting up and commences on doing some shitty shit. The Russian government notices and sends investigators to see what's up. However, Terra Group hires the United Security or USEC private military contractor to help them cover up any evidence. As some time passes and nothing comes out of the investigation but bodies, the Russian government sends this very secret unit, the Battle Encounter Assault Regiment or BEAR, to check them out, but this time for real. real. After that shit gets real fast. Then the UN gets involved and everyone goes, fuck this shit, I'm out. The borders are sealed and whoever is within is left to fend for themselves. And you are just one of the many forsaken USEC and Bear operatives left in the area.
Fixing to cooperate? Hey man, let's unite.
During all that chaos, because things weren't spicy enough already, a bunch of operatives together with some of the locals decide to go full-on anarchy mode and take over whatever is left of Tarkov. Gameplay. First, you create your PMC. Proceed to pick a faction between USEC and Bear. The difference is none. There is no difference. Except USEC speak English and Bear Russian. Then pick a face. Lastly, you choose your voice. You see the main menu, click on character and... Calm down. I know it's scary, but don't worry. It will get worse. Equip some gear, then to enter a raid or start the Extreme Anxiety Simulator, click on Escape from Tarkov. You are presented with two choices, your PMC or Scav, aka Hobo Gangster. Pick PMC, then choose the location you want to explore. Spend some time on the loading screen and get deployed. The purpose is to try to get something of value and or complete a task, then leave through means of extraction. Every map has predetermined spawn locations, and you are assigned one at random. On most maps, you will spawn on one side and have to extract on the other. Death will result in losing every item you have on you, with the exception of the items you stored in your container. Apart from standard bullet poisoning, you can easily accomplish death by fall or just by not eating or drinking for 15 minutes. You can play solo or in teams of up to 5 people, but I have to warn you. For new players, being in a team could be significantly harder. Why? Well, it's very hard to distinguish friendlies from enemies. There is friendly fire and zero consequence for team killing. Essentially, Tarkov is a free-for-all. Is that you? Will be the theme question of any games you play with others, and it will be a test for your relationships. There is a bunch of gear you can use and wear. Armor is quite important, as it may be very effective, provided you are wearing the correct one, as well as your enemies are shooting the wrong bullets. Armors are separated into 6 classes, as class 1 is the worst and class 6 is the best. Same applies for helmets. Bullets, on the other hand, have penetration that goes from 0 and up. How does it work? The more penetration a certain ammo has, the better chance it has of going through higher level armor. For example, if you look at 505 caliber, P has span of 33 and penetrates levels 1, 2 and 3 no problem, but once we get to class 4 it's only slightly effective. At class 5 mag dump only is listed as the way of successful penetration, and for level 6 shooting at it is literally pointless. On the other hand, 505 PPBS aka Egonic has span of 62 and it basically ignores any level of armor. Is it as simple as that? No. There are a bunch of other stuff, like durability for armor, blunt damage for ammo, but this ain't the science channel, and I don't have to explain shit, it just works. However, every piece of armored equipment has penalties. This 6B43 Zabralo, for example, reduces your movement speed by 35%, the Alton helmet by 7%, and now you're basically moving backwards. All of this is cool and all, but the main reason you play this game are the weapons. It's fun to build them, and it's even more fun to use them. You look at two things when you build a gun, the recoil and the ergonomics. The lower the recoil, the easier the gun is to control. The higher the ergo, the faster your ADS, and your hand stamina will drain slower. You can also build them for looks, or to be extremely annoying. I call this one Sunshine. Explaining how much fun shooting is though doesn't do it much justice, so here is some footage.
Fuck you, bitch. Fuck you, bitch.
Scavs or Hobojis are members of the local criminal organization known as Scavengers. Apart from being your secondary character, Scavs are the AI that is in the game. There are a few types of them. The regular ones are lightly geared and not much of an issue. But then come the Scav bosses and their guards, most of which are absolutely insane and a real pain in the ass to deal with. They have great gear, which is worth killing them for, but that's not a very easy thing to do, especially if you're poor and unexperienced. Next we have the raiders, which are insane aimballs that are very well geared. Those are not a lot of fun to handle. Lastly we have cultists. They are not supernatural in any way, just regular, crazy people. Spawn only at night and on specific locations. May try to penetrate you with a venomous knife. When you pick to play a raid as a Scav, you are a different one each time. It has a cooldown, you get random gear and spawn later during the raid. You can play in teams of up to 4 people. AI Scavs will not attack you unless you shoot them. Raiders, Scav bosses and their guards on the other hand will attack you if you get close to them, unless you have high enough Scav karma, which you will increase if you kill PMCs as a Scav. Other Scavs that are bad, meaning they killed other Scavs, by taking the car extractions as a PMC or just by playing as a Scav. Scaving is your vacation from the suffering. Because you start the raid later than the PMCs, by the time you're in, they might be out, so your biggest enemy is a rare encounter. Also, Scav karma incentivizes you to be friendly to other Scavs, and that makes it a lot more peaceful of an experience compared to a PMC raid. A Scav run is an escape from the violence, but it wasn't always like that. There was a time, not long ago, when Scaving was just as much of a free-for-all as PMC runs are. A moment of silence in memory of the victims of Scav on Scav violence. They gave their life, so we can loot in peace. Tarkov has a very complex healing system. Compared to 1 bar of health, it's separated into 7 different parts, for each limb, stomach, head and thorax. Getting shot in those will bring different results, depending on which was hit, and it can lead to some very interesting situations, like how to heal my fucking legs, they're missing and are broken at the same time. Also, I am bleeding, but in 2 different ways. I have a tremor and my arms are shaking. Why is everything blurry? There is a good amount of drugs in the game. Most of them are painkillers that allow you to run and jump with broken legs, so if you feel like stabbing yourself in the neck to become the universal soldier, you have the opportunity to do so, but without the girl, as the only female in the game is this picture of the rapist woman. Interestingly enough, you can get similar result by applying some Vaseline to your lips. This is where the case for realism in this game is shattered. While there are elements that are realistic, a more appropriate word might be immersive. Escape from Tarkov is so immersive that I properly shit myself while playing it more times than in any other case, and I've soiled myself a good amount as a consequence of my fear of public toilets. There are also a bunch of stimulants that give you a number of various buffs. SJ6, for example, is a stimulant that greatly increases your endurance. Pre-buffing or pre-mating with some Vaseline and SJ6 could be considered a standard procedure, which brings us to our next subject. Skills. When you start playing, your PMC is lowest level everything, which means that 5 steps or 2 jumps is all that it takes to lose your whole stamina bar, and the gear you equip is just about all you can carry before getting overweight, which can lead to running out of stamina in the worst of times, and proceed to die in horror and confusion. Performing certain actions will level up various skills. For example, endurance will level up from sprinting while not being overweight and walking while not being overweight. Higher level endurance will reduce stamina drain from jumping while increasing the total amount of overall stamina at the same time. Best skill in the game. I recommend a lot of running. Totally worth it. Strength you achieve the exact opposite way, by carrying a lot of shit, or in other words, sprinting and walking while being overweight, but also by throwing shit and stabbing motherfuckers. Increasing strength allows you to jump higher, run faster, throw shit further, stab motherfuckers harder, and carry more shit. It also reduces the hand stamina drain from ADS. Great skill. Recoil control reduces the recoil of the guns. For this one, you just have to shoot. Search skill, searching a lot of shit will make you search faster. Both good skills. Surgery. The more you do surgery on yourself, the faster and better you will do it. There's a lot more of those, but we don't have time. There are 8 locations available for now, but if we look at the map, we can see 4 more are supposed to come, so 21 total for some quick maths. All of the available locations will make you appreciate Google Maps, as there is no fucking way to figure out where you are. There is no minimap, and to say the in-game map options are a joke and a 5-year-old could draw better ones is an understatement. You will not be able to figure out where you are and what the fuck is happening for at least a few hundred hours per map. Still, they are good fun to play, and there is something for everyone, no matter where you are on the scale. In brief, the available locations are: Interchange is a very big map, in the middle of which is the Ultra Mall shopping center. It allows for a maximum of 10 to 14 PMCs. This dark dungeon, or a horror house, is where mostly rats of various sizes dwell, attracted by the great amount of loot. Better check your corners. Also, there is a very fashionable gentleman with a taste for machine guns, who is very polite and will greet you eagerly every time you meet. Customs. This one has everything: woods, buildings, other buildings, concrete, industrial, urban, nature, a river. 8 to 12 PMCs, 10 out of 10 map. Very hard to survive. The boss is a beta male that has 4 heavily armed aggro boys to follow him around. Best map in the game. Shoreline. The spy is lit and it's the shit. Maybe not very maintained, but still a very nice place. Beautiful nature around it. Nice beach, boats and some mines. Also an island. 10 to 13 PMCs, and this guy that likes to party with his 2 buddies. Factory is a factory, but on the inside. 5 to 6 PMCs, action style map, a dude with a hammer, a lot of Timmy boys, fun. Reserve is an abandoned military base that contains enormous amount of loot, which is the reason for the big amount of vermin you can encounter. Consists of mostly buildings, but there is also an underground bunker with tunnels, rooms and shit. 9 to 12 PMCs. The only map with a soundtrack, and it's a banger. Listen to that shit. Then this guy and his crew of 6 very aggro, insane friends that are the most unbalanced stupid shit in the game. Woods is mostly woods, it's also big, 8 to 14 PMCs. There is a guy with a DMR that shoots fast. Don't peek him. His boys are nuts too. Labs is a big lab. A lot of loot, most of it behind very expensive keycards. Scavs are only raiders, and raiders are insane. 6 to 10 PMCs, regular encounters are RGB gamers and CEOs of movement. Lighthouse is the latest addition to the map. Pretty cool location, a lot of sniping potential, quite healthy amount of loot and cool spots to fight for it. Also an enormous compound where this new AI, the USIC rogues, reside. They are similar to raiders but different, with some bigger guns. And mines. A lot of mines. Fuck those mines. 9 to 12 PMCs and just as many frames. Big part of the immersion is the way the maps are designed, and I believe this is the strongest aspect of the game. It feels like every room, hill, tree, bush or composition is unique and authentic. The visuals are amazing, everything looks very natural and the atmosphere is truly mesmerizing. The colors are a little muted by default, but you can adjust that through the post effects options. You can go from grey is okay to those mushrooms be hitting kinda hard. The Hideout is your residence for the lovely time you spend in the area of Tarkov. It starts off as a dark, wet, cold basement, but with time and a lot of money and looting, you can upgrade it to a nice place, with cool perks, like a library, which will increase your leveling rate of skills from class Practical, and also increase the amount of experience that you gain. Air filtration unit, which will increase leveling of skills from class Physical. Alcohol distillery, the production of which you can use to pay locals to bring you random and sometimes decent shit, if you have built your scav case. There are also a bunch of other perks from the Hideout, like a Bitcoin farm that earns you passive income, a lavatory where you can craft backpacks and shit, shooting range, medical station to craft meds, workbench where you can turn working LCDs into broken ones with a screwdriver, and also make magnets from hard drives. Overall, amazing stuff. And also, most importantly, intelligence center, which will reduce the cooldown timer for the scavs, plus all this other shit. Quests. The available tasks to be completed are quite a lot, and I mean a shit ton for a more proper metric. Completing those is the fastest way to level up your PMC, as they give a good amount of experience in the early game. There is a variety of different ones, but some of the main types are fetch me this and that, don't die survive, mark this and that, don't die survive, plant this and that, don't die survive, kill scavs with this and that weapon from this and that distance. In short, you are made to violate a bunch of scavs in a number of different ways. Then you do similar stuff to PMCs, and all of that takes you all over the locations. In theory, doing tasks is not required. There is nothing stopping you from just playing the game without doing a single one. You can level up through kills of scavs and PMCs. It will be a lot harder and slower, but more importantly, as I mentioned before, to be able to buy some of the better gear that is in the game, you have to level up your traders, which happens through accomplishing a few requirements. Achieving a specific level of your PMC, spending a certain amount of currency with the trader, in other words, buying shit from or selling shit to said trader, and achieving a certain amount of reputation, which you acquire only through completing tasks. The alternative is the flea market, which is the in-game version of Amazon. You get to buy shit from retailers and it's insta-delivered to your doorstep. You can also sell scavenged items you found while stealing from the locals, or received as a reward for a task. You receive your Amazon account when your PMC achieves a certain level. It's 15 at the moment, but it changes often. The items brought in raid by other players or bought from the traders cannot be put up for sale. So if you haven't leveled up your JPEGs, most of the better gear is extremely expensive or not available at all. After all, you may want to do some tasks, and are they fun to do, you may ask? Well, that depends on what type of person you are. If you are the type of person that loves getting his genitalia smashed by a heavy bludgeoning item, then you might enjoy questing.
Crush my cock with a rock I must. Maximum pain I must endure. Okay, here we go.
Some of the tasks might be a little bit shit and molding, but in all honesty, questing has been the most fun I have while playing this game. There is nothing like the feeling when you're planting an item and count the seconds hoping you will not get slapped before the time runs out.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, yeah.
Another one I like is when you are on your way to extraction, having important quest items on you that you've been looking for the last 10 days. And that, in my opinion, is one of the strongest qualities of Escape from Tarkov. It makes you feel emotions like joy, anger, fear, confusion, desperation. I know it sounds like a joke, but once again, I'm serious. The good news is you don't need to do all the tasks to get your traders to max level, so you can skip some of the very annoying ones if you feel you had enough of the punishment. And you might be wondering, what happens after you complete it all? Nothing. You can increase the size of your prison wallet, and that's it. For now there isn't an actual endgame accomplishment, it's just an endless grind, and I love it. The game wipes like twice a year and everything starts over. What is the reason to play then, you may ask? The same as always. Money. Why? Well, with money you buy gear, weapons, armor, ammunition, and generally for you to have any fun in this game, it's better not to get shit on all the time. And if you don't have the stacks to afford premium gear, that would be very hard to avoid. In a way, just like in real life. Money buys happiness. Economy is a very big part of Escape from Tarkov, and making money is actually the primary objective. There are a number of ways to achieve financial success, but the main one is collecting loot and selling it on the flea market. For the purpose, professionals design highly complex and elaborate plans known as loot runs. Those are specific paths and strategic movements through different maps adjusted for the different spawn options that provide the optimal strategies for achieving fat stacks. Which brings us to inventory. To say this game has an insane amount of stuff is putting it mildly. Your stash size may vary depending on which version of the game you have, but you can still upgrade it in game and make it bigger, so in a way, getting the cheaper version is actually more content. Nevertheless, you will consistently get overflowed with tons of trash until you spend a few hundred hours to figure out what actually makes sense keeping, what you should sell to make some mad rubles, and what to not even bother picking up. For the purpose, I suggest to open up the wiki and start learning. Search for the items you have and see if they are good for something, or if they are required for a quest. Having some of the items required for tasks in advance will significantly reduce the time to complete a bunch of those when you get to them. However, there is a reasonable possibility that for a while you will be spending 90% of your time managing your inventory. As a consequence, you will become the greatest Tetris player of all time. VOIP was introduced with the latest 12.12 patch. Having it enabled is entirely optional, but in my opinion, it's a great addition to the game. It provides for cool opportunities, for example, to make friends.
Add me as a friend, I'd love to get a rating with you sometime.
Yo, what's up? or to listen to your enemies beg for their life.
Hey man, please, friendly. Don't shoot! Come on!
Over time, you encounter a bunch of strategies that will make you lose your shit. Some that come to mind are extra camping, tactical bush sitting, highly specialized corner waiting, bullshit weapons abusing. There's something special about EFT players. They have a virtue that is unmatched in any other aspect of life, and that is patience. I'm absolutely astonished by how skilled they are in sitting and waiting. Which reminds me, let's look at some negatives, cause there are some problems, not very few even, and those could be quite annoying at times, infuriating even. Bugs, crashes as per usual, okay, maybe more than usual. Sound doesn't work in some cases. Poor performance on most maps, and the waiting, there's just too damn much of the fucking waiting. But something that has to be considered is that the game is in beta.
It's not finished.
Since I started playing, the guys at BSG have made noticeable progress, which is saying something considering the current state of gaming development. Before letting you go and self-punish yourself with a elaborate torture device that is Escape from Tarkov, I feel I have an obligation to give a couple of pointers. Just for heads up. First, don't be surprised, even for a second, that something wasn't fair or unbalanced. The whole premise of the game is based around it being unfair. It wants you to be a degenerate piece of shit that spends every living moment playing, so you can shit on less experienced or less geared players. And I personally am all down for that. But the other side of the coin we have to consider is that is why shitting on more geared players, higher level players or squads is so satisfying. It will not happen often, but when it does, it's fucking poetry. Second, and I can't stress that enough, get an SSD and at least 16 GB of RAM, preferably at 3200 MHz or more. This game runs like shit, and without these two, the experience will be even more painful than the actual gameplay. There is a lot more we can talk about, but it has to end somewhere. Now let's talk business. At the time of making this video, the price of Escape from Tarkov varies between 35 and 110 euro, depending on the version, and that is not a small amount to pay. Still, I would say it is worth it, as Escape from Tarkov is not just a game, it's a lifestyle of just playing Escape from Tarkov. So if you happen to enjoy this type of masochism-induced experience, then you are certainly guaranteed for thousands of hours, which per hour calculates to basically nothing. I bought my copy a couple of years ago and have accumulated some hours. I have not been outside since. The final score is subjective. I am addicted and extremely biased. In summary, it's good, it's hard, it's punishing, but so is life, and I recommend life. That's all from me on this one. Thank you for watching. You're all truly awesome. Good luck and have fun. More of this trash content to come, so stay tuned. And now finally the time has come for me to go outside.